Hello guys, this is episode 1 of the first of my 3 guide series that I'll be making from basic to advanced to ultimate, where I'll be teaching how you can go from being a new player to being able to reach the apex ranks if you want to go that far. And since it's Christmas, by the way, Merry Christmas everyone, I figured I'd just combine all of the arcane champions together into one longer episode, because I figure most arcane fans, arcane watchers, only care about these champions anyway. So starting with Jinx, her role is ADC, which means you want to be going to the bottom lane. ADC just means attack damage carry, because Jinx attacks a lot. And Jinx's Q is that she has two different guns, a minigun and a rocket launcher. And generally, the minigun does more damage if you're hitting one person. The rocket launcher does more damage if you want to hit multiple people, because it explodes and it's area of effect damage. But as you rank up the rocket launcher, as you level up Jinx's Q, which you can do at levels 1, 4, 5, 7, and 9, basically, uh, the range of Jinx's rocket launcher gets longer, so you can auto attack from farther away. So generally speaking, as you uh, play the game more, like as the game gets longer, as the game goes on, you'll be using the rocket launcher more and more, and eventually you'll probably almost never be using the minigun. And of course, because the rocket launcher gets longer range as you level up and as the game goes longer, it would make sense that Jinx gets stronger as the game goes on. And you'll notice that most of the arcane champions tend to do this. They get stronger as the game goes on, because they're generally all scaling champions. That's what that means. So if you feel weak, if you feel like the enemy will beat you, don't feel pressured. You can just farm and play to scale, which means you're going to fight them later rather than right now. So the next champion is Ekko. He's very complex, and I would need to go more in depth in him in a future guide, which is ironic because that means I don't have much to say about him right now. Basically, he has a 3-hit passive, so you want to hit the enemy 3 times, and you deal bonus damage, and you also move faster too, so you can run away, I mean. So an ideal combo, that would make sense, is you hit them 3 times, and then run away, because you hit them 3 times, you proc your passive. So a good combo would be use E and Q to hit them 3 times, one way or another, and then back out. And then Ekko's W, it's difficult to use, but it does not cost much mana. Although it has a long cooldown, it doesn't cost much mana. So don't be afraid to just use it as much as you want. You can't really waste the ability. Like, you won't get punished for wasting it because it's, a very situationally useful ability anyway. So if you think you can find a way to use it, just use it. Don't feel pressured to miss it or always hit it. It's just a weird ability. Just know that it doesn't cost much mana, so you can use it as much as you want. And Ekko can go mid lane or jungle as his roles. If you're starting out and new to the game, I would recommend mid lane because it's just easier to play. Now, moving on to Caitlyn, she's an ADC just like Jinx, so you'll be going to the bottom lane. And if you remember what I said about Jinx, how her range increases as the game goes on, Caitlyn's range starts high as soon as the game starts, which means you're the strongest right when the game starts. But don't feel too pressured to close the game out quickly, because just like Jinx, Caitlyn is an AD carry, and if the game goes long enough, you'll be back to your former strength. You'll be very strong once everyone has a ton of items, like 4+ items maybe. So I would say when you're playing Caitlyn, just focus on trying to make the most of your very long range. Now going over to Vi, Vi is the most unique champion so far. Essentially, Vi is a jungler, so you're going to want to take Smite, the summoner spell. I don't know if the game's tutorial says that already. But you're going to take Smite and you're going to farm your jungle camps to get stronger, rather than kill the minions in the lane. And what this means is it's important to farm as much as possible. And on Vi, how you farm is very straightforward. So Vi, as a champion, has a very, very strong ultimate ability, which is her R key. But Vi's R key, her ultimate ability, has a very long cooldown. So a good strategy, for example, would be when you have your ultimate ability up, go look to fight people, look to gank your teammates, give them some help, kill the enemy. And when your R is down, well, now you don't have your ultimate ability. You're a lot weaker, right? So that's when you farm. So basically, farm when your R is down, fight when your R is up. Uh, by R being down, that includes before level 6. You know, it all depends on the game. League is a very dynamic game, it's always changing, but if you're not level 6 yet, you probably just want to farm so that you can get level 6. So then you can get your ultimate and kill the guy that you press your R button on. So moving on to Jayce, this guy goes top lane or mid lane, both are fine roles to learn. This champ is very hard, just like Ekko, so it's kind of hard for me to even say anything about him, because he's definitely the most complex champion so far. I would say to buy Tear of the Goddess. Make sure you buy that at least eventually, because this champ has so many spells. If you don't know what you're doing, it's easy to run out of mana on him. And then stay in ranged form as much as possible, because you're at your weakest when you change from your melee form, your cannon form, to your ranged form. Wait, no. The melee is hammer and the ranged form is cannon. Anyway, once you go from hammer to cannon, you're very weak. Because if the enemy goes on you, engages on you is the term. If the enemy runs at you, you need to be able to switch to your hammer form. So just as like a general idea when you're learning Jayce, try and be in the ranged cannon form as much as possible. And then Jayce's EQ is a very big part of his identity and one of his biggest strengths. So if you shoot your ranged Q through your ranged E, which your E makes the little gate thing, then it becomes very strong and does a lot of damage. And it is a very good spell. So, if you want to learn Jayce, I would just pick him and, go from there. He's kind of just a practice to learn type of character. Okay, so now Viktor is the first mage I'm going to talk about. Mages and Viktor, they want to hit their abilities while not getting hit by the enemy abilities. So Viktor's E, although it's kind of hard to learn, once you learn it, you get used to it. It's very easy to hit once you're used to it. So as Viktor, you want to hit your E as much as possible while not getting hit by the enemy abilities. Another important part of mages is that they have long cooldowns, right? And they're very useless when their cooldowns are on cooldown. So when your abilities are on cooldown, you're useless, basically. So make sure you never waste any important cooldowns, of course, which you should always do on any champion. And for Viktor, an important cooldown is his W. It's a long cooldown, and it's also very useful. So for example, versus a melee champ, or versus anyone really, just use your W reactively rather than just dumping it on the enemy most of the time. As you can see here, I W and ult on top of myself. If you're versus a melee champ, right, you can just E from range, and then once they go on top of you, you just place the W on top of you. And if you have your ultimate, if you're level 6, you can also ult on top of you as well. That's basically what you want to do on mages. They have some spells that you want to use just when they're up, and they have some spells that you want to use reactively, because you don't really need them except for protection. Oh, and by the way, Viktor can go mid lane and ADC. He can probably go top right now too, just because he's so strong. But moving on to Heimerdingus. Heimerdinger is very fun and very unique. Definitely the most unique champion so far, because this character just plays around his turrets, which maybe you already know about if you've played League before. But Heimerdinger can have 3 turrets out on the field, or whatever you want to call it, just like out on the map, I guess. See, I'm placing 3 here, so I'll have 3. And then, in addition to these 3 turrets, you can see at the bottom of my screen in the HUD of my abilities, my queue, it shows I have 2, now 3 turrets. So you can have 3 turrets stacked up as well. So what that means is you can have 3 out, and then when one dies, or if you just want to replace one, you replace the oldest one. You can just place the new turret. And now I'll talk about Heimerdinger laning. I'm in the top lane. You can go Heimerdinger mid lane, but I think he's much easier to learn top lane. As Heimerdinger top, use your W to poke, and as you can see, based on where your cursor is, you can kind of make the W more precise or more imprecise based on what you value more, Do you want to deal a little damage for sure, or a lot of damage if you aim correctly, It's just like all subjective. And then you can see me moving the target dummy next to me and then Eing it. That's just showing, same thing as Viktor's W. There's some abilities, such as Heimerdinger's E, that you want to save and you want to use reactively. Because from the enemy's point of view, if you use your E offensively, and you miss it, for example, well, now they can just go in on you because your E is down. So, although Heimerdinger is a bit funky, he is still a mage. He's useless when his abilities are on cooldown. So, use them. Use W to poke, E reactively. All mage things, and then I won't even like cut the splice my audio here because we're just on Singed already. So moving on to Singed. Let me see my notes here. Singed goes top lane. Oh, he's what I said about Heimerdinger times 10, and that he's very, very, very unique. This champion literally just like does nothing except to run away and leaves gas trails. Like, I don't know how this is the same character from Arcane. But anyway, a very useful tip, probably the most useful Singed tip that I know. Oh, is if you're going, like, basically, Singed is completely useless. He has very bad numbers, very bad stats. He just takes a lot of damage. He doesn't deal much of it until he gets level 6. Because when Singed gets level 6, he gets his ultimate. It's just like Vi in that sense. His ult is very, very, very strong. So as you can see my stats, I pinged them in the bottom left, and you can see in the chat in the bottom left, right here, see? 27 ability, power, magic resist, armor, blah, blah, blah. And then you cast ultimate, you just get a bunch of free stats. So the idea behind Singed is the same as Vi. If you have ult up, you want to fight, use your ult. If you don't have ult up, you don't really want to fight. You want to farm, do what you can to just, chill until the next time you have ult, and then you can press ult, and then be really strong again. And see, you'll see here my ult runs out, and then I back up, because that's what you ought to do. Obviously, it's all subjective, Maybe on Vi or Singed, you're really fed, you're really strong. You have a bunch of kills, you farmed a lot. You don't necessarily have to, exclusively fight with ult. But it is a useful tip, that you're much stronger when you have your ultimate ability. So now on to Warwick. I actually forgot this character existed. I recorded him last. But, because I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot Warwick. But anyway, your W, pretty simple. When people are low, or you just use W and like mark the nearest enemy champion, they get marked, and you just smell their blood, because it's like, oh, they're low HP, and I'm a wolf that likes blood. So basically, you're stronger when the enemy is low HP. It is global, so you can actually smell anyone, no matter where they are on the map. He's a bit of a sniffer. And then as you can see here, when you hold Q on Warwick, if you hold the button down, you kind of stick to them, you like clamp onto them and also go behind them. Just think of it as like when an animal sinks its jaws into something, it's not going to let go. It's the same thing. Warwick is stronger when the enemy is low HP, and just because of how his passive works, he's also stronger when he's low HP. It's kind of confusing, but the point is you're stronger when everyone involved is lower HP. And his E reduces the damage that he takes. So you want to use E when you're low HP rather than high HP, so then you're lower HP for longer. You know what I'm saying? And then lastly, because I'm running out of footage really fast, you can ult like this and then Q immediately after. Basically press R and then just hold Q on the enemy. You might have to press it like as the ult runs out. Maybe you can press it early. I'm not really sure, but ult Q is a good combo. Now, moving on to Ambessa, she does dash around a lot, but honestly, when you're playing as Ambessa, like, it's kind of visually clear what you're doing, so this champion isn't that difficult. She is very, you can get very good at her. But what I want to point out is her Q, you'll see here. See, that did 35 damage, and then I'm going to use Q again, and it's going to deal more damage. See, right here. So, Ambessa's Q has two parts. The first one does more damage if you hit it on the outer edge of the ability, and it does less damage if they're like really close to you. So that's my biggest Ambessa tip, because the rest is kind of intuitive. Basically, just hit the outer edge of the first Q is a big difference. And then Ambessa's W is her shield. It's a very big shield. It's also a very long cooldown. So like you just saw, you want to use the shield, go in, and then go out. Use the shield. You want to go out once the shield expires or once the enemy breaks it. Basically, just go in once your shield is up. Like, if your shield is up, you want to go in. And if your shield is down, you don't want to go in. It's kind of the same thing as having a ult on Vi or ult on Singed. It's all, like, conditional, And then Ambessa's ult is kind of hard to hit. I don't really have a tip for that. It's just kind of a hard ability to hit. just do your best. It's a skinny hitbox, you know? Because I guess Ambessa just likes that stuff. And now a really short disclaimer, the next champion is kind of a spoiler. And it is Orianna, who's at the end of Arcane. So now we're looking at Orianna. Let's see, what do I do? Alright, Orianna's Q, she throws a ball out. Orianna's kit is all about this ball. You press Q, throw the ball out. Boom. It does damage. It doesn't really matter. But it's a low cooldown, so you can use a lot. So you just want to keep pressing Q to move the ball around, and you want to press W to deal damage around the ball. So pretty common combos to just Q and then immediately W, because, you know, theoretically if you throw the ball at them, they're going to be on top of the ball. Now you can just W right away. And then, just like any other mage, because Orianna is a mage that goes mid lane, I forgot to say that. By the way, Ambessa goes top lane and mid lane, and can jungle even. But, you know, use Orianna's E in the same way that you use Heimerdinger E, and the same way that you use Viktor W. You want to use it reactively, you know? It's a shield, and it brings the ball back to you, which is just, you know, going to be useful. It, you know, based on the situation, it's likely what you want to do. So, like mages, you have your poke ability, Orianna's Q and W, and your oh no, the enemy is going on me react ability, which is Orianna's E. And that is every champion from the cast of Arcane, I think. I hope I didn't forget anyone. I almost forgot Warwick. But yeah, anyway, thanks for watching, and I hope this helped, and stay tuned for next video. Goodbye. Oh, and Merry Christmas.